superstar agents that are, and brokers that are taking it to the next level as themselves for lead conversion and their teams and building teams. So we have a lot to cover. My name's Andrew Dorn. I've been with realtor.com for 17 years. It's kind of a long time, right? I got a computer generated email in March. It was really personal, you know. It was awesome. Enough about me. It's all about them. So it's exciting because it's a time in this business where lots of real estate professionals are making successful careers and teams and brokerages literally with the online lead. And there's different types of leads, and there's different ways to convert, there's different technology systems, and we're going to get into all of it. In this session, we're going to cover a lot more than this, but we'll definitely hear how they started. I think that's how we'll start off when we introduce everybody. In addition, how you've built thriving businesses with leads, and then we're going to get into the really nitty-gritty of the tactics, the strategies, the scripting. And before we get started, I'd like to say this. I'm not one of those moderators that wants to wait for the end for questions. 2 reasons. Sometimes you don't have any time left, and you guys have to go somewhere else. That's one reason. The other reason is you might forget your question, right? You didn't write it down. So I want to see show of hand whenever you want to go deeper on anything Kevin, Sandeep, and Jennifer are talking about. Before we get started, how about a round of applause for these panels just for being here today, determined to be here. Woo! So let's do just that, Sandeep. A little bit about your market, the size of your team, and how you did get started with online leads, and then we'll ask everybody that.
All right, how's everyone doing?
All right.
Very good.
So I'm in the greater Sacramento area. Became a realtor in 2014. Started my team in 2016. Basically, I just wanted to have more time, right? And hang out at home.
You mean more time for you?
More time. So my wife got pregnant, and I just wanted to hang out at home, right? And not work on the weekend and do the grind. So the interesting thing about me is, about 1 week after I became an agent, I started my online leads. In previous spaces that I had worked in, the leads were my bread and butter, right? So my first week, I think I had $400 to my name, bought the worst zip codes in Sacramento, lots of bad stories. But, it was a heck of a lot better than doing open houses every week or day, right? So kept on getting more leads, more zip codes, doubling up. And now I have a team of about 20, 21, have a brokerage of about 40, and just working the leads and converting them as hard as we can.
Hey, before we start with Kevin, same questions. There's a reason why we have these 3, not just because they do great at getting high ROI on their leads. They're actually quite a bit different size. He's around 70 agents. Kevin's around 70 agents. I'm sorry, yeah, that's right. You're around 30, 35, and then you're around like 4 or 5. So hopefully that covers all of you. Those of you who want to start a team from the start, you got Jennifer right here. Those of you who want to run a company in 2 different locations, SoCal and NorCal, you got Kevin, and you got him right in the middle. So we kind of got everything. So same thing about you. Your markets, plural, size of your team, and then of course how you start with online leads.
So, hi, I'm Kevin Markarian. I have a company called Markarian Real Estate. It's an independent boutique firm. What's really cool about today, I'm really excited to be here today because my old boss, Natalia, is here. She hired me. She's the first person ever hired. Raise your hand, Natalia. How you doing? So, I started in Modesto, California, Central Valley, and I worked for Natalia for a while, and so I did really, really well. And then the market crashed, so I had to adjust really fast. So San Francisco was like 90 minutes away from Modesto. And so I moved. I just hit the reset button on my career, moved to a completely new market, didn't know anyone. And what I decided to do is invest in internet leads. Why? Because I think for me, it allowed me to level the playing field with agents that have been in that market, that know people, that have experience in that market. I was able to generate business. I was able to generate clients really easily. So that was the catapult for me, was the market shift. And I think for people that are thinking, whether you're in a market that you've been working in for a long time, or you want to transition into a new market, or you're a new agent, or whatever, buying internet leads is just a way to get in front of more people, just more opportunity. And so that's basically what I do.
Right. Question right away.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying you get a 4 times return. Is that kind of like, I got 2 questions. Is that like the best you typically get? And how do you consider that great? That's almost like you're taking back 20% of your paycheck.
Let me rephrase it. So he's asking about the return on investment. To be clear, what that means is for every dollar he spends on his realtor.com leads, he gets $4 in return. So I think the question is like, is that as high as you can get? Are you trying to get higher? And is that enough of a return?
So we're always obviously trying to improve. It's a work in progress. And yes, like Andrew said, it's for every dollar we spend right now, we're getting about $4 back. So I mean, to me, it's a good return because we spend $10,000, we're going to get $40,000 back, right? Spend $5,000, whatever the number is on that. So
it goes back to your point of getting in front of people. If you didn't have those leads, then you wouldn't have had the $40,000 you made off of the $10,000 you spent, right? It's a way to get in front of people that you know works.
But here's the thing about that is we're not counting the referrals that you generate. We're not counting the long-term business, the sphere. Maybe these people become your sphere of influence. So for me, it's just a way to get your foot in the door and just create more opportunity.
Because I've been working online these for like 4 years. I get about 3 to 3.5. It gets frustrating because it just takes up all your time, especially when it's buyers.
Yeah.
Because they tend to take
Right.
up all your time.
That's a great question.
And then it takes away from you trying to get listings.
You say it takes a lot of time to handle these leads. Well, they're all doing it differently. So you're going to see how literally Jennifer is almost doing it all herself. And then these guys have built out systems. So you're going to learn kind of at what stage what to do, right?
Totally. And we're generating listings from the buyer leads that come in too. So like 30% or so become listings.
All right, Jennifer, same thing. Where your market is, size of your team, when you started online leads, which I know is not too long ago.
No, actually, I started online leads a long time ago. But I got my real estate license in 2004. I worked at a couple different brokerages. Then the market crashed, and I was doing short sales before then. And then I decided that I didn't want to do that because I wanted to be with people, not banks. So I bought a bar and restaurant instead. And I did that for about 4 years before I was like, no, this isn't working. And then I went back into real estate, I think 2015, and I started buying online leads right away. And I was really skeptical at first, but I started seeing return right away. And I perfected the systems. I got my broker's license last year. And then I was getting too many leads, and I wasn't following up, and I could see business just going to the side. So I found somebody to take all of the lower price leads, and so she came and worked for me. And then I have a couple of good friends that were in real estate, and I had them come work for me. So I just literally in the last 3 months ended up with a 4-person team, and I'm trying to figure out what that looks like. I'm in Sonoma County, California, and that's where all the wildfires were. So we had a lot of that stuff going on last year. But my return's the same, and I feel the same way. But it might be 1% that you're giving, or the 25% that you're giving away, but that's 25% of something as opposed to nothing, which is what I would have had before that. So.
All right, so back to Sanit. So we're going to get into way more conversion tactics by her, that she actually literally makes all the calls on her leads. These guys don't. So what I want to do here is who's considering starting a team or starting a team? Anybody? Okay. Who's on a team? Who's on a team? Okay, so if you come on, everybody, it's about half. So so in 2016 you started building a team primarily leveraging online leads. As if you come to my company.
100%,
yeah. Okay, so let's talk to that. Like, how did that ding ding go off in your head? I need to do this.
All the cool kids were like this guy.
And all others doing it.
And I mean, it's like I realized about myself that I prefer being a business owner than being an agent out there doing the grind. And like I said earlier, I just wanted, I wanted time to be home. I mean, I'm home by 4:35. Monday through Friday, and don't work on weekends, and that's awesome life for an agent, right? So
the kids appreciate it.
Yeah.
So the other thing I want to mention about you, Sanit, is that you're actually over $4 return on each dollar spent on realtor.com. So now for those of you who are looking for systems, I take your pen out and paper out because he's going to tell you it's not just one thing. I was on a call with him, and there's a lot of things that happen. So Sanit, the lead comes in from realtor.com. what happens? Each step, what happens? System,
So,
tool, everything.
It's a lot. So they get a text from the agent, a text from me, I call it the managerial drip, right? Just to kind of set the expectation for what the lead should expect. So text from the agent, text from me, call from the agent, email from me and the agent, call and text from one ISA and a call from another ISA. So if there's multiple people, multiple different agents from different brokerages calling the same lead, it won't be able to get in because I'm calling sometimes. Take 10 seconds.
So, Kevin, I've done a few panels with you, and one stat you never threw out to me did happen this last week. You said the average agent quits after 1.3 attempts to call the lead. Now, granted, that's including agents that call 30 times, and then the 40% plus that don't call at all, right? That's the average of 1.3. But they need, on average, they need 13 attempts to actually connect. Can you talk to that and what you're doing about that?
So that's a statistic from NAR actually that came up.
Yep.
They came up with that. So leads, I mean, they're people. They're like us, right? Human beings that are inquiring about property. If I inquire about a car, I'm not necessarily ready to buy a car today, right? I may not answer my phone right away. So it takes multiple attempts. And yes, sometimes we feel like we're bothering them, and we feel like I don't want to bother them, right? But the thing is, if we don't get the business, somebody else will. So if we're not making those attempts, you're going to lose out on the money that you're spending, that you're investing in your business, right? So I'm with Sunit, we're following up multiple times, and I'm willing to, it's like a fine line, right? You don't want to bother them, but I'm willing to risk that over losing out because we're spending our dollars, right? So we have to be bold about that. And so I want to talk about in terms of conversion and what this is related, how this is relates to conversion. So we have really high conversion rates, Sunit and I do. I know Jennifer does too. I talk to Sunit every single day. So I'm gonna tell you guys real quick 5 steps, if that's cool?
Yeah.
On how we're able to convert leads. There's 5 tips. Everybody get ready because this is good. So the first step, okay, is when you get them on the phone, you want to gain agreement we're done. What does that mean? You want to get them in the yes pattern. Start saying yes to you. So the first thing I say is I say their name, right? So I'm like, hi, Natalia. And the first thing she's gonna say is yes, right? So I got the yes pattern going. Number 2 is you want to set the appointment right away. Setting the appointment is crucial. So you always want to set the appointment.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
After she says yes, do you do one more yes on that pattern, or does that come later?
Yeah, we do. So she'll say, hi, Natalia. Yes. Hey, Natalia, it's Kevin with Markarian Real Estate. I saw you inquired about 123 Main Street in San Francisco. Are you thinking about a 3-bedroom in that area, in Pacific Heights?
Knowing they search a 3-bedroom.
And of course they're going to say yes, because I want to say yes, right? Of course they're going to say yes. Why? Because I saw they just inquired about a 3-bedroom. Okay? So that's step number 2 is gaining, step number 1, gain agreement. 2 is set the appointment. Number 3 is find out their why, right? Find out what's important to them and get their motivation, right? Number 4 is find out if they're working with a realtor. But the key there is using the word committed, because everyone's working with a realtor. What does that really mean, right? So what I say is I'll talk about, whatever, and then what's important to them, and then I'll say, okay, great, so you're just kind of looking. It sounds like you're just getting started. You're not committed to an agent, right? So I say it. I'm not asking, I'm making a statement, right? So I'm saying, you're not committed to an agent, right? It sounds like you're kind of looking.
So you're saying that working is more almost like, do they know what almost? Like, do you know a realtor?
Yeah,
but you're saying, are you committed to an agent right now?
Yeah, and I'm not even asking them, I'm telling them.
Yeah. You're not, you're not committed to an agent, right?
What's up, buddy? Are you not committed? You're not working with an agent, right? So I'm kind of telling them. And then the last thing is you find out if they have a lender.
Yeah.
And the key there is I don't like to use the words "Are you pre-approved?" because to me it's kind of rude. Is it are you worthy, right? So instead I'll say the words I'll use is have you talked with a lender yet about financing, or are you planning on paying cash? And the reason I say the cash part is because you want to start high, right? Because I don't want to say, hey, do you need a loan? And they're like, dude, I'm paying cash. Get away from me. You just created that awkward moment. So those are the 5.
I have a question for Jennifer before that, one more for you. Before that live appointment, do you ever ask if they're pre-approved? And why?
Before the live appointment?
Yeah, I'm talking about the initial phone call. They say hello, you say, Is this Andrew? Yes. Are you looking for 3 bedrooms in that area? Yes. And then
I don't go straight into are you pre-approved?
so you meet them
Because
live
I-
first, right? Because no one wants to ask what their
I
finances.
see. Well, I'll ask them if they have financing in place. I'll ask them, hey, have you talked with the lender yet about financing, or are you paying cash? So here's the thing with that. Based on their answer, they may not be pre-approved, okay? But if somebody who is an executive, like CEO at LinkedIn, if they're not pre-approved, are you going to go show them the property? Yes or no? Right? Okay, so you need to use your judgment on that, right? So I've actually sold a $5.4 million house to Linda Weinman, and she wasn't pre-approved. She paid cash. I bet I went and met her because I looked her up and all that. So
Got it.
anyway,
Any questions for Kevin on any of those 5 steps? We probably drill down throughout the session. Okay, Jennifer. So the reason I'm jumping to you is because Kevin is doing that a lot off of memory. Yeah, he coaches his team, but he's not on the phone as much anymore. You are all day long, every day. And on the conference call we had to get ready for the session, it's different for you. So what happens when your lead comes in? I think a lot of single agents can relate to that.
Yeah, I'm a little bit different. I think the important part to remember about all of this, and we're all different how we do this, is know your market. Know who's calling you, know what they like, what they respond to. So when I get a lead, I call them right after they hit that button, I'm calling. And I literally just say, hi, is this Kim? And she says, yeah. And I said, okay, great. I got your inquiry on realtor.com. Did you want to set up an appointment to see it, or did you have any questions? And I stop there. Usually, the realtor.com leads, actually, they're really nice leads because they know what they want, and one of those 2 things is what they're calling for. So I either get the appointment set right away before I go into anything, and then it depends on how talkative they are. If they're not really a super talkative person, I wait until I'm in front of them before I ask the other questions. As for if they have a realtor, I kind of do the same thing at the end. I say, okay, great, I'll see you tomorrow at 12. And real quick, you're not working with a realtor, right?
Ooh, similar to Kevin.
Yeah, and usually they say no, or they'll say, oh yeah, but she's busy, and I'm like, oh, that's too bad. We had this great conversation. Oh, well, if anything happens, let me know. I would love to show it to you tomorrow, and then I follow up. Then I have things that follow up. I don't like to, when the lead first comes in, they get a voicemail from me, they get a text from me, and they get an email from me. But most importantly, they get a call from me. And I think that for me, it's not how much I contact them, it's how quickly I do. So I literally have my phone in my hand 99% of my day. Even in the bathroom, I'm like, oh, hey.
Now I asked you in our conference call, I say, because you said you make all the calls, I said, okay, Jennifer, you're in a closing. Tell them your answer when you're in a closing. Do you still call?
I will still call. Because it is. Every lead that comes in is important because that's what affects your ROI. And my clients understand and they know that they have my full attention. But if I am in a closing and there's something, a lead comes in, I do look at it to see what kind of lead it is though too. So like if it's a higher price point or if it's somebody I can send to another agent, I'll copy and paste it real quick on my phone and say, this is one of my agents. I'll copy and paste it and text it to her real quick so she can call right away. So there are, on the times when I can't, I do have 6 kids. So on the times that I can't call them, I do that.
You have 6 kids?
I have 6 kids.
You're a stud. You are amazing. All right, Sunit, okay, in the next 3 or 4 minutes, you're going to want to write down 2 things that Sunit does. Okay, the first one, Sunit, you're crushing the realtor.com leads. We know over 4x return. It's great. But one of the things that you do, because he knows that they've been talking to other agents maybe, you use a certain wording about designation, designated. Tell about that and why.
Is there anybody from Sacramento here?
Oh, you want to share the secret, I see.
No, so
You talk to her later.
yeah. This is Sunit, the agent designated by Realtor.com, right? And I got that from Mr. Robert Slack.
I say preferred.
Robert Slack's a big broker in Florida. He now has over 1,000 zip codes? No, 700 something zip codes for his leads. He's crushing it. But again, this is your designated Realtor.com agent. So, is that right? And other people will be calling you. Just tell them that I'm your designated agent, Realtor.com, because it is a Realtor.com lead. Fine with us saying that. The other thing is, sometimes they say, oh yeah, I do have another agent. But then you have another tactic that really works.
So when my agents talk to the lead, I don't ask like these 2. I just say, have you seen many homes yet? right? And then they say, yes, I have seen some homes. Great. Have they been at like an open house, or have you been going with an agent? Oh, well, I have an agent. Awesome. Are you 100% committed to that agent, right? And asking someone if they're 100% committed to pretty much anything, and they're going to say no, right?
Now, once in a while they say yes, then what do you do? VIP.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
That one. You don't make enough calls anymore, man.
Yes, I am 100% committed to that agent, and I say, wow, they must have an amazing VIP buyer program. VIP buyer program? What's that? Well, why don't we meet at the house, and I can show you how we do things differently, whatever.
Awesome. Kevin. You question here first, then we'll go to you.
Is that kind of like coaching, or you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Is it kind of like coaching,
Isn't
or?
that like kind of like coaching, or I mean, well, it would be if that's written.
Yeah, if somebody has a buyer broker, then completely different. But I mean, how many people here have lost a deal to another agent that you thought was yours, right?
There's a lot of hands. So you're careful with that when they say, oh, I've already signed it.
Yeah.
Right? You're just talking about someone who's, oh, I'm committed. I'm kind of committed. Yeah. Kevin has a touch on that.
Is that more in Northern California? Is it like in SoCal? We don't usually do like buyer broker agreements.
We don't either.
We don't either.
Oh, okay. So that's his question.
His question was SoCal versus NorCal, and your response was?
Yeah, no, we don't do it.
Can I say one thing on that too?
Yeah.
I just want to say that the one thing too is if they are fully committed to their agent, they're not going to be contacting other agents online. So right there, you can make that. Well, where's your agent at? Have you been talking to them? Are they helping you with your process? Because really, my buyers, once I start working with them, they know they go through me to find out about properties, and that's one thing I think a lot of agents make the mistake of is not educating their buyers in the first place, which does work for us who buy online leads.
That's a great point because whether they're on mobilerealtor.com or whether on the phone or whether they're on the computer, it says on the listing they're inquiring about, it says contact agent. So they didn't contact their own agent they're committed to. They actually were willing to have someone call them that they don't even know.
The thing
So
is,
that's a good point. That's a really good point, actually.
it's not my responsibility to find out if they're their commitments. It's not my deal. That's between them and their agent. So that's why I ask them or tell them that they're not committed, and then they respond yes or no. So if they say they're not committed, then I'm going to take their word for it, right? So I just want to say too, there's all different levels of spend going on here, and wherever you're at, I didn't start off spending $40,000 a month, right? Like we started off at a level where I felt comfortable, and then we built upon that. So we close a transaction, and then you continue to invest. You close another transaction, you invest more. So, sometimes I feel like in these panel sessions, sometimes you feel like, oh my God, there's no way I can do that. So I would just start off at your level of comfort and maybe go a little bit beyond that, and then, build upon that.
Can you tell us about the VIP buyer program when they come to your office?
Their question is, what is the VIP buyer program? So the person says, no, they don't have it, and now they're willing to come to your office and talk about it. Can you talk about it a little bit?
I mean, it's really nothing. It's
I love the honesty here. Isn't that great?
It's a booklet that we did, and I mean, when you meet with a buyer or seller, you should leave them with something. And I know that a lot of agents, they go to the house. Oh, well, this is 3 bedrooms and 1,000, feet big or whatever you say, right? So the VIP buyer program just talks about us, talks about the team. We have a love it or leave it program that's in there. We have some preferred home warranty stuff in there. I mean, it's nothing crazy, dude.
Sydney, one more thing with him real quick. Sydney,
Keep
so
pointed with me.
your 2017 sales were 27 million. Right now you're on track for 65 million.
Yes, sir.
Before Kevin has going to say what he's going to say, how much of that is because of the realtor.com online leads? I don't even know.
Ton.
Over 80%? 70? But you have referrals too, right?
Well, referrals and a bunch of listings, but a lot of those are from realtor.com too. So I don't know, dude.
Okay, a lot. Over half. Over half.
Over half, yeah. Like right now, I think we have 20 somewhat escrows from realtor.com.
And then also you said between 35 and 40% of your of the deals you do close from the buyer side, you also get the sell side.
Yes.
Can you talk to that? Because I think everybody would like to learn how you
Yeah,
get
so I mean,
35,
like-
40% listings.
You know, X amount of people per your market have to sell a home, right? So we've been getting a ton of listings. And what I did is I incentivized my team
Oh, that's right.
to when they set a listing appointment from my lead, I pay them just to set the appointment. And that really helps.
Okay, so they're incentivized to get more and more of those.
Yeah.
And then what do you want to add, Kevin?
I'm just gonna say, I think a big mistake a lot of agents make when they work internet leads is if somebody makes an inquiry about a house that's pending, we make a mistake. So like the key when these leads come in is like we want to create a relationship and we want to let them know that we can show them other similar homes in the area as well. So I think that's really important to mention. Also, there's like usually 3 really big objections that we deal with. And the first one is, oh my God, the house is pending. And if it's pending, that's totally okay. I've even shown pending houses and I've asked why it was that they wanted to see this particular home and what is it about this home so I can show you other ones. The second one is, I want to only work with the listing agent. And if they only want to work with the listing agent, the answer that I say is, they'll ask, are you the listing agent? No, I'm not the listing agent. The property is listed by one of my colleagues, but I'd be happy to show it to you and know the area really well, so on and so forth. And then if they say, well, no, I really only want to work with the listing agent, then I'll call the listing agent. I'll say, no, I'll tell the client, okay, hold on, I'll connect you. I'll call the listing agent and I'll say, hey, Natalia, I have a client that wants to buy a $500,000 house. They want to see it. It's actually we want to buy your listing. Do you want to work with them for 25%? So I'll refer it out, like worst case scenario. So at least you're not losing out. And then the last one is they have an agent. And if they say they are committed to an agent, then I'll ask them, are they open to a second opinion? Or are they 100% committed that I got from Sunny? So, yeah.
One of my favorite, we had a question here that was a while ago. Then we'll go over here, right here.
My question is, do you only work realtor.com leads, or do you work some of the other ones?
The question is Kevin only doing realtor.com leads for his 132 million he's going to hit this year, or are you doing other leads too?
We work different leads across the board, okay? In terms of quality though, realtor.com is the best.
I only
by
work
far.
realtor.com.
So,
Jennifer, you only work realtor.com?
I only do realtor.com.
Okay. And then Sunit, you're a little bit of everything too?
Yeah.
But you do a lot of realtor.com though.
Yeah.
we do most of our lead gen is through realtor.com, just because the quality is the best. It's really good. So.
We had a question right here.
The question is, when you say you still go out there regardless if they are working with an agent, specifically an answer that I get when the answer is, I'm not working with a realtor at the moment. So sometimes what you have is you have a lot of clients and you kind of basically want to get over and over. How do you deal with that?
Can you rephrase the question?
The question is, if somebody says, I'm not working with an agent yet, or oh, okay, I'm not working with a realtor at the moment. So some people just want you to go and like open up a door for them. So I would say on that is I would just use my judgment on that, right?
I like to answer
You
that.
kind of I feel them out and I base my
VIP buyer program, bro.
So hey, real quick, it's been a half hour. Now we're about ready to get into the real secret saucy stuff. You're allowed to dive in as much as you want. But I just want to share 2 things about our booth. We have sessions all day on lead conversion, on marketing, on connecting with the online consumer. And so if you attend these classes, you can win an iPad Air. Someone will win an iPad Air tomorrow, and it's pretty darn cool. The other thing is we also have daily drawings. So we'll have a drawing today for an Apple TV, dude. An Apple TV 4K and a Realtor.com Tech Kit. So I want to share that with you. You can't miss our booth, right? When you walk through the doors, it's the first booth. I just want to let you know it's not just a booth. We have prizes. But now let's take that question.
Okay, so what I want to say to that is those are my favorite ones because if I can get in front of them, they're mine. So one of the important things about this too is you have to be good on the phone and you have to be good in person. Because if you can't do either of those, take self-help classes, do whatever you have to do. Because if I can get in front of that person, it's good. They're working with a realtor after that.
Awesome. Question right here, and then back to you.
Okay, here.
Here, louder. Right to the mic.
Like, what kind of questions do you ask a lead when he shows like a conversion for like 89 days? You know, like it happens a lot.
Do they have any questions or do they want to schedule a
I
time?
mean, you ask him the same questions.
You guys get that question?
Well, what was it?
You've been searching for 89 days?
Oh. Yeah.
Well, the buyer's been searching for 89 days, and they have a realtor.
I mean, how do you?
Do they have a realtor or not?
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. When you get the lead,
Okay, you don't know whether they have a realtor or not, but they searched for 89 days. They've been searching a long time. How do you handle that?
Yeah, that's fine. No worries.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just again, it's yeah. I mean,
Build
I schedule an
rapport,
appointment,
build rapport.
build a relationship, and
Well, actually, you know what, Jennifer? I mean, you're making these calls like crazy. So someone's been searching for 75 days. They might have talked to other realtors. You have a very high conversion rate when you're with them live. Why is that?
Because I don't make it like, oh, here is the windows with the pretty drapes. I do it as, oh my God, did you see this? Look at that. I'm more like casual, I think, is what it is. I'm less intimidating, and even with the agent just wanted you to open the door, again, it's the same thing. It's just building that rapport. It's, making jokes and reading their personality. I'm a really big people reader, so I know like with somebody I could be really funny with, or somebody that I need to be more serious, or, and it's just reading that. It is a people business, and it's about that. I think one of the other keys too for any people that are searching for a long time, a lot of money on, because I bring them from realtor.com over to my website. So then, when they inquire about properties, they're coming straight to me. Sorry.
No, they do. I've actually.
Jennifer kind of answered part of my question is, what CRM do each one of you have realtor.com integrated into, and why?
Great question. So we're going to go all three. What CRM are they using mostly? We'll go down on the path.
I use Commissions Inc. Started with Tiger Leads, actually, which was a part of realtor.com, and then Sync bought Tiger Leads.
Your realtor.com leads come right into Commissions Inc.
Right.
Next.
Yeah, Kevin and I both use Follow Up Boss mostly.
Follow Up Boss,
You
and
said that.
Agentology, and Agent Legend.
Yes.
And
Same.
Saneet just signed up for Happy Grasshopper. He's going to try that out.
Oh yeah, I just signed up for that too. Yeah.
Okay, well, there's another question I saw. Right here.
Carlos, it's not going away now.
I got two quick questions. So you call a lead within the first minute or so and it goes into
20
voicemail.
seconds, yeah.
Do you leave a message or you just hang up?
Good question.
The question was, do you leave a message? My sequence is we call. The first time they don't answer, I don't leave a message, but I call right back. And I call right back. And why is that important? Because then, how many of us have gotten a phone call from a number we don't know, but then that number dials back, and now like a sense of urgency just kicks in, right? It could be like my kid or something's going on, so I answer. So the likelihood of the answer goes up after the second call.
Does anyone besides me get a call at least every week from like Hilton Grand Vacations or something like that? Okay, for me, they don't call back to back. So if I don't answer, they don't call again. When the number does call again, that's when I'm wondering if it's school.
Right.
Especially 3 times. So what I'm hearing from more and more realtors that are in the trenches, they're doubling and triple dialing before any voicemail consecutively because of that reason. Because we're all getting those other calls, they don't call that second time. Now, if you're getting that second call from these vacation places, I'm not. It's one and done. They're one and done, so I never hear from them again. If they did call back, I answer every time. Every time.
The thing is, you have to be bold. You can't be timid about it, right? You have to go for it, because if you don't, you're gonna miss out. And we're culturally built, like set up to not do that, but you have to get over that. And then, so to answer your question real quick, is we don't leave a voice message until like we call 3 times, we send a text message, email, and then finally after like 6 calls, we'll leave a voice message, and then we'll reference the text message in the previous call.
Kevin, that's becoming more and more commonplace. I'm hearing that more and more.
So that's what I do as well, but I'm wondering then, after the message, when do you follow up with them again?
We have a schedule. We have a 32-day follow-up schedule that's I think you guys use it too, maybe, or maybe not. But if anyone wants the schedule that we use, we have like a really heavy schedule. Just shoot me a message on Facebook and I'll send it to you.
Will I do 3 times the first 3 days, or what is it, Josh?
3 times a day
for the first
3 days.
First 3 days, 3 times a week for the next 3 weeks, and 3 times a month for the next 3 months. But I say just call them until the voice has gone away, right? I guess.
Hey, so before we take the next question, I have a question, because I think a lot of you are going to probably go to our booth and see if the leads are available for your areas. There's two ways to get the leads, to purchase them. One is by zip code and one is by county. Are all of you just purchasing the zip codes you want, or has anybody actually done a greater purchase of the county? I'm curious. Because again, it's by zip code or county. That's the only two ways to do this.
I own every zip code in my county. So
That's one way to do it. Okay. And then how about you, same? So you do, okay, you do both. All right. Question right here. How many people does Realtor.com sell leads to? I'll handle that. Someone else come up with another question. This one's too easy for me. So there we go, you're next. There's only two ways to buy Realtor.com leads other than either by zip code or county, and that is shared and unshared. So it either goes to you and one other agent, and you pay less, of course, because it goes to another agent. These guys don't mind that because they're quicker. Am I right? Are you quicker or not?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. The other way is you're the only one, which means for those of you who, maybe you're like Jennifer, but when you're in a closing, you don't call because you actually are in the closing and you're too present with that person, you might want to get the unshared, which means guaranteed no one else gets that lead but you. So pick which one you want. If you know you can be fast like this three, why not save money and get more leads and have a higher return on investment? Do you all feel that way?
Yep.
Okay.
I was just curious how you, like if there are certain zip codes or how you go about finding them. Are you going with the most expensive ones, the ones most likely have first-time buyers, ones closest to where you live? Like, and then how do you do that?
Well, Jennifer, you said you have the whole county, but do you still understand the intricacy
I
of
do.
this question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, I think that you can't really know. I mean, because every zip code's going to have a little bit of a mix. But they're all the same. I mean, they're all in my area. I don't buy zip codes. I don't know the area. There is one town in mine, actually, I don't know the area, and I won't buy zip codes there because I still want to deliver a high quality of service to my clients. I won't sell in another county. I won't do any of that because I don't feel like I'm servicing the client. So, I know.
I love these questions.
This is for Jennifer. When you're present with them, what kind of things do you look for to kind of adjust your strategy to their personality?
Well, I think when they pull up in the car, you can get a good sense. That's one way to start. You know, I'm looking at their clothes. I'm looking at how they're interacting with each other. I'm looking at the things that they look at. Some people will just run through a house, and others want to examine every little aspect of it. So I'm really kind of just keying into finding out how to read body language is a really good tactic for realtors because if you can do that and respond to that, then they're going to respond to you. Actually, Kim has a client that she was just showed this last week that she felt like she couldn't connect with, and they were kind of all over the place. But they called her the next day and wanted to see houses with her because she still tried to cue into where she could connect with them.
Mirror and match.
We have a question right over here before that question and that question. We only have about 19 more minutes. In light of that, I know some of you guys have stuff to do at 2:30. So again, I've been here 17 years with Realtor.com. This is the first time in 4 years I'm able to say we have something brand new. It's called Local Expert and really allows you to reach hyper-local audience on Realtor.com, but for the first time ever, not just Realtor.com, Facebook. Meaning if you own and by the way, this is not sold by city, it's sold by zip code. So if you own a zip code and they search Realtor.com and search that zip code that you own, later when they go to their own Facebook feed, they see you or your listings. That's the Facebook component. So again, hyper-local, meaning they just searched that neighborhood or zip code, you own it, so now they see you on Facebook and Realtor.com, and it's a great way to get listings because it can feature listings on Realtor.com and on Facebook. So for those who used to have featured homes, we got them now. It's called Local Experts. Not just featuring you, it's featuring your listings as well. So we're doing a pre-sale now. There's a go live on November 1st. So if you want to go by the booth and see if your zip codes are available, they probably will be right now because I think the release was like 2 or 3 days ago. So check it out. It's all you need to do is say, here are my zip codes that I want to be for Local Expert. I would definitely check this out. You literally get, again, branding you and on Realtor.com and Facebook. It's an opportunity for you to really own your market. Okay, we have a question over here.
So what happens with leads that people provide incorrect email or incorrect phone number? Is there a turn it back in, and what's the average cost per lead in any given zip code?
How about one of you takes one question, one the other?
I would honestly say that with Realtor.com leads, that very rarely happens. Like, I don't know why, but because really with Realtor.com leads, I find is they actually want to talk to somebody. It's not like they're doing a click, pay to click or whatever those things are called. With realtor.com, they actually have a question or they actually want to see the property, so they're actually going to give you the right information. I do find though sometimes the emails are like their secondary emails, but after the conversation, and I'm like, oh, actually you should have checked this one out on B Street too. Can I email that to you? And they'll go, oh, but yeah, use this different email though. So then I get into their main email. So, but in general, realtor.com, I don't find that to be a problem.
So do you want to add anything to that, or is she covered?
I think that you nailed it, yeah. So these leads are bottom of the buying funnel, right? They're like typically, what is it, less than 3 months out?
Yeah, it's like 54 days.
54 days.
That's what Robert Slack says, man.
So
he's doing thousands of them, so yeah, that's probably right.
He knows. And then as far as the average cost per lead, I have no idea what that number is.
It'll vary. So homes in Sacramento are a lot cheaper than Beverly Hills. So are the cost of leads. Now, because the homes in Beverly Hills are 7 times as expensive as Sacramento, are the leads 7 times as much? Not even close. But they are more expensive. It does follow the price of real estate in that zip code, in that neighborhood, in that area. So it follows that pretty well, but not drastic the way real estate does. Like if you compare Bakersfield to Beverly Hills, the cost of leads wouldn't be that crazy difference.
Question is for Jennifer. You mentioned your website. You have a killer website. How much do you invest in your website monthly?
$1,500 a month.
And what does your website offer?
Honestly, the website, okay, so the reason
What does
why...
a website offer to your buyers? Because you're doing a lot of buyer leads.
Right, actually the website's structured very similar to realtor.com, so it already has kind of a feel that they like. But one thing about mine is it can go hyper-local. Like if somebody wants to look up a property by school district, they can click on Hidden Valley School District. Or if they want to look up, something in Fountain Grove, which is a subdivision, they can also find that on my website, which realtor.com doesn't do. And I also kind of, I try to tell them, hey, also look on my site. It's a great way for us to communicate. You can request visits. It'll go right to my phone. So I let them know that they have better access to me through that. But really the website is just, needs to have a similar feel to where the leads are coming from. So they're comfortable with it.
I understand that some of you can relate to Jennifer, Cindy, Kevin, where you are in your business differently. That's why all of them have agreed, no matter when this ends, whether you guys have questions stop in 1 minute or 15 minutes, that's what the length of our time. They're going to spend 30 minutes at the realtor.com booth if you want to dive in even deeper. We still have time for questions. I just want to make sure, don't worry if you don't get it in. They're going to hang out there before they go to Frederick's Suite for realtor.com.
I want to say something real quick. Number one is I forgot what I was going to say to what you were saying, but nurturing the leads is important too. So having some kind of a back-end system that will allow you to stay in front of them over a long period of time, like market snapshots available through realtor.com. Yep. It's a good platform. You can retarget people on Facebook. I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry, I'll come back.
You know what though? I cannot believe this question has not been asked yet. Because I've done, 100 panels in the last 2 years? Listen to this question. How did someone not ask this?
How are you guys different from Zillow?
Oh, that's a good
question. The Z word. How did that not come up yet? All right, who wants to address that? Robert Slack, he has a great story about it. Anybody have a story of maybe of taking money from one place to the other? Maybe you know that or no?
I'm not here to bash anyone, but I will just say that the way the lead, the way I buy leads through realtor.com, the way it's structured is a lot more favorable to most people.
You are buying leads, not impressions.
Right, like with Zillow, it is what it is. I mean, people are generating leads on Zillow. For me, I like knowing when I pay for leads, I'm gonna get 40 leads in that zip code. That's what I'm buying from realtor.com, right? With other companies, we're talking about Zillow, they'll tell you, they'll sell you impressions, okay? So they'll sell you impressions. That's cool, but I don't want to buy impressions. I want to buy leads. I want to know how many leads I'm going to generate.
You've heard Robert Slack's name a lot, like Florida, right? In my last panel with him, he said these exact words. With Zillow, I had twice the cost and got half the conversion. Have you heard him say this?
Yep.
Okay, so that's him. And that's off of thousands and thousands of leads a month. So I think that's a good indicator. Do you have anything to add to that?
I have Zillow leads, right? I spend about 1/10 of what I do on realtor.com. There's a reason, right?
Okay. And Robert Slack's gone completely to zero now.
Zero, yeah.
Zero is all
I have used Zillow leads before, and for me, they're not as far along in the process. They also, Zillow being able to take other houses that are not necessarily available, like for sale by owners and all that kind of thing. They're not as ready to go. And I like ready to go because that's all I want to do is just sell.
Look, there's a couple MLSs across the country. I think one's called Walla Walla. You guys ever been to Walla Walla? Anyway, but for over 90% of listings in anywhere in California, the listings are updated every 15 minutes. Has anybody ever seen a property that has been sold on Zillow that says it's not sold?
Years ago.
Yeah, you've seen that. We don't have that problem, thankfully. We put a lot of money, a lot of investment, a lot of relationships on those MLS relationships. We have that for California. So my reason I bring that up is because that's why the buyer is farther along. They've learned that the most accurate site, the one with the most information, is realtor.com, and we take pride in that. And I think that's what you mean they're farther along. They're not going to go to a place where things might have been sold. This is a buyer who's serious now, so they end up there. So they're going to be farther along.
More accurate, just more accurate.
More accurate, and people know it. We've had commercials about that, right? We've done commercials on that very thing.
Following up on your comment, like for instance, yeah, so some people will call me, oh, this property is on the market. You go in and it's now pending or it's sold. How soon do you guys have access to the updates?
Every 15 minutes. Almost instant, 15 minutes. So the cool thing is if someone's at work and checks out a property, and then they come home 45 minutes later and there's a price change and they show their wife or their husband or their loved one, it's been changed. We have that. We're blessed to have that. Agents appreciate it. Consumers might appreciate it more. That's why I think the farther along person, like you're saying, the one that's more ready, found the site where everything's updated constantly. So there's nothing stale. Any other questions? Any thoughts that you have based on that?
Here's another question.
Oh, where? There you go. Great questions, Robert, all day.
Yeah, you know, I know you guys said, oh, buy them all, but if you're starting out in this, there has to be some kind of secret sauce to which zip codes to buy, right? I'm not going to go waste $3,000 a month for 2 leads in 90810 Beverly Hills, you know, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for sure. So if someone's new to the realtor.com leads, how should they start their investment?
Very, very easy. Start with where you work. Start with where you're at, number one. And I actually wrote down the 3 things that I would do is, number one, look for price point, right? And it doesn't have to be the most expensive price point either. It can be the price point that you're comfortable with, right? Second is level of inventory. So like versus sales. So if there's hardly any, no turnover, then that might not be a great zip code, frankly, right? And then the last thing is, what was the last thing? I wrote it down. Number, and then price point, and then level of inventory, and then number of sales. So that's it.
Okay, so, but if you're an agent out there and they're listening to 3 that have already done it successfully, have successful business, if you were one of them and you're going to go to realtor.com invest right now, and you knew what you knew now, what would you do? Like get what you can budget on, what you can afford? Yeah, you already done that. Yeah. So you'd say get what you can afford because they work. Jennifer, you want to add to that?
I would agree with that, but everything what he said is perfectly. The only one thing that I wish I had known is stay away from zip codes and have a lot of mobile home parks. That's the one good advice I can give you on that.
Got it. Yes.
In regards with turnover rates, do you my thought process is focus in an area that you know well, not necessarily turnover rates. And I want to know your thoughts are on that.
Well, yes, focus on an area that you know well.
When you're starting. Yeah.
But if the area you know well has no turnover, then what does that mean? What are you doing, right? So I would say you have to balance it. There's not really. So first, of course, it's going to have to be. You have to know the area, and it's going to need to turn over. But if I had to choose, I'd pick turnover because I want to maybe drive a little further.
That's a good indicator. Turnover.
Yeah.
There's obviously a finite number of people that, or agents that can subscribe, and you say they have shared accounts essentially. How does, there's a
I'll explain. It's more like a technical question. Yeah. So a lot of you will go back to realtor.com and your favorite zip code's gone. That's because we don't sell leads we don't have. It's based on an algorithm that shows we have that number of leads to give you. If they say yes, that zip code is available, it means that we're going to deliver you that range that they tell you. They'll tell you the number. It's not impressions. They will say this range of leads will come to you. So I think that answers your question. We don't sell leads we don't have. Some of you will go back and say 3 zip codes and only 1 will be available. Anything to add to that?
I mean, we do something called a pre-auth.
Oh yeah, pre-auth.
So like there's zip codes that we want to buy in and they're not available. So we give I give my credit card to them and say like, when it's available, just buy it.
And that means somebody else drops off or more becomes available.
Yeah, either someone drops off or more becomes
available.
available.
That's the good news is our traffic is continuing to go up. It's been consecutive for many years now. And we just made a change with the website that increased our lead creation about 11-12% with the same quality. So, it's good. It's good times for us.
Well, you guys have like the smartest people in the lead gen game working on it. I met the guy.
Yeah, we just lock them in a room, put food under the door, and once in a while, you know,
Like,
call
they,
and see if they're alive.
I sat and
No, but
listened to the whole
I'm
thing.
sorry, they're great people. I'm just kidding. They're great people, and they are smart. I wish I was that smart sometimes.
Yeah, for real.
How do you monitor your team members and make sure they're getting a high enough ROI for the leads you're giving them?
Holding your team accountable to an ROI that you can handle.
We do the reports in the CRM.
Reporting, want to add to that, Kevin? Any more detail?
Like that's why it's important to have a CRM. Okay, so when lead comes in, it goes to one of our agents on our team. We assign it through our call center, and then we track what happens. So they're then responsible for maintaining correspondence with the client and taking notes and keeping track of everything. That's how we do it. We're not like really necessarily cracking the whip on anyone, but it's like, look, we signed that lead to you yesterday. There's no notes and no follow-up. What's going on?
So constantly holding them accountable.
Yeah, just holding them accountable, doing it in a fair way.
New question.
How long typically does it take from the time you get the lead until they close? Just an average, and then how long do you keep them in your database to keep following up?
So first I'll say, always keep them in your database. Like all the leads that come in need to be in your database, and we should always be nurturing them using Facebook retargeting or market snapshot, just constant follow-up with email drip campaigns and so forth. So the average right now is like 60 days.
Okay.
Right?
So you can expect somewhere between 50 to 70 days per buyer lead from realtor.com to close. Some way faster, some I know you close 2 years later.
Exactly.
Right?
And you're closing multiple times sometimes.
Yeah.
On Market Snapshot, are you taking your buyer leads and basically taking what they inquired about and making a Market Snapshot?
Yep.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
We have a product called Market Snapshot. It shows you how the market's doing anywhere. So not only do sellers love it, buyers who just clicked on a property and said contact agent in that part of Pasadena, they would love to know how the market's doing there. So that's what he does. He'll say, oh, here's how the market's doing in that neighborhood of Pasadena. Now they're tied to you because you're adding value of how the market's doing.
You said you use agentology for your lead scrubbing. When did you start doing that? And do you know, like, you had your agents doing it personally, and then once you switched to agentology, was there a big drop off? Because you were talking about at the beginning, you have these 5 tips, like this LP on the script going. Is that something agentology does, or you have your agents do again?
Great question. So our agents are doing it as well as agentology. So remember earlier I was saying I'm willing to risk that, like annoying someone, right? I'm willing to risk that in order to get the conversion. So we have multiple, like Sunit said, multiple follow-up attempts. It's with us and with agentology, which is, agentology is really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're running parallel, right? Because an agent on our team who may have their head in 10 different places and their dog has to go to the vets and they gotta, do something else, but not with the guys at the company called agentology. Like they will consistently do what they need. So they run parallel.
So I'll say 3 things for your question. So we talked about 3 different things Realtor.com does. Thanks for bringing up Market Snapshot. That's a great product to stay in touch with anybody because you're adding value. Everybody wants to know how the market's doing where they live or where they want to live. Am I right? Every single one. So that's a great one. Then we talked about the leads. I mean, this whole session has been about these Realtor.com leads. And then of course, the local expert. I just want to say one thing about listings. If you are someone who wants to get more listings, I don't know a better way to leverage Realtor.com than local expert. It allows you to put your listings in premier position through a carousel even, both on Realtor.com and on Facebook when they searched that zip code already. They already searched that neighborhood, and now you, because you are the local expert, can feature a listing that's in that zip code because you own it. And it's not even live yet. It goes live November 1st. This is the time to really take advantage of that. Again, by zip code. Any neighborhood or zip code, just tell the Realtor.com people.
So with the CRM, yeah, no problem. With the CRM we use, we get a plethora of leads, 9:30, 10 in the evening on a Saturday night, and it's the same one that Catherine uses. So when is it to the point where you don't, like sometimes we're home and we can make the call, but there's a point where do you call someone at 10 in the evening on a Saturday night? And I know it's speed to leads.
Yes. Is there a cutoff? Is there a cutoff? Robert Slack, I think that's off at 9 p.m.
I mean, so we use agentology, so it's 24 hours a day.
Okay.
I've called people late. I think there's a law that you can call people a certain time, but
9 o'clock.
okay, you can't call people after 9 o'clock.
Yeah, Robert says 9.
So
He stops
don't
calling.
call after 9. And then, but you can text people.
They still get automated text though.
We send them text messages.
And our leads come with an automated text.
So,
come with an automated text and an automated email actually. So
Yeah.
that can still happen.
We
Completely
send
legal.
text messages. Yeah.
Yeah, B5 Street, correct.
So when you're using agentology, is it a person or is it a robocall? That's my first question.
It's people.
Okay. And then, are they using their name with your company name?
What's cool about that is they use like a androgynous name.
They have one name.
Alex, or like, so you don't.
So
They
to me,
cycle
it
that.
seems like it could be very confusing for the buyer when they're finally getting you on the call, that possibly that they've had this call from Alex. They're getting an email from you, a text from you.
They're
Where does-
concierge.
Yeah. So they'll say.
So how is that transition from Alex to you? How's
It's
it
really
go?
simple. It sounds like it's not, but it is, because they'll say that this is Alex with Marker Real Estate. I work on a team. You'll probably be hearing from someone on my team. So I'm going to connect you with someone on my team. So
Look, I know there's more questions in the room, but our time is up. So they promised me 30 minutes at the booth right now, right?
29 minutes.
29 minutes. Well, it's a minute from now. So how about a huge round of applause for Jennifer, Sandeep, and Kevin? And then they're not going to hang here and ask questions. We're literally going to walk over to that spinning realtor.com sign. Be sure to ask about local expert, these awesome connection leads, that's what they're called, connection leads, and market snapshot. Thank